the column bar that's beneath it. And the reason for that is because it's actually going to go above. So if it doesn't come out exactly the way you want it, you can click on the selection tool and just going to click and drag until you get it. My mouse is being really fussy here. Just kind of click and drag until you get it. And if it totally doesn't work the way you like, you can delete and start again, which is what I'm going to do here. Okay, so got this first rectangle, and again that's a little longer than I like it. We're going to go up to the top here. We're going to fill in our color. Click on your square with your selection tool. We're going to come up here to transform, and we're going to rotate this 45 degrees. And once we do that, as soon as I have I think that's the one I copied. Okay, once you do that, you just want to kind of move it up a little bit because we're going to be putting some text in here. And then you can go to edit and copy, edit, paste. And that's going to be the next one. And then edit, paste. And again, I'm using the selection tool to move that up over the top. Okay, so now we've got the main part set up. We're going to need to add some text over the columns just to help people identify what those numbers actually are. So I made a text box there, and in that first text box, I'm going to put that first percent, which is again going to be 43. We're going to leave this as Arial, so 43%. We're going to leave that as Arial and 14 point. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to kind of nudge it into place. So if I click left, it'll move a little bit left, right, it'll move a little bit right, and then I can also move it up or down with the up or down keys. So once I have that into place, I'm going to make my next text box. Our next percentage was 64%. Same thing, going to move this over into place and then use my arrow keys to adjust it. And then finally our last percent, which is going to be 76%. So once I've got that, I can move that into place. We're going to go to symbols, which is over here on the right. If you don't see symbols, go up to Window and Symbols. That should come up. And then what we want here is the Symbols Library menu. So we're going to click on that. And there's a whole number of different types of preset symbols in here. So you can see there's fashion related symbols. There's even some sushi symbols. We want to go to communication. And we actually want these last two symbols. So we want the transmission tower and the writing symbol. And to get a symbol, all you have to do is just click on it with the selection tool and drag it onto your page. And I'm going to do that twice for this writing one because we're actually going to use that twice. Okay, now you can again use the selection tool and resize. I'm going to go from the corner inward. That helps keep it in scale. And again, I wish I hadn't made this quite so small. But there's the first one. Then I'm going to click and drag. There's my second one. It's going to go over the top of the middle square. And then my third symbol, and that's going to go over the first one. Okay, So our percentages are going to be labeled as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So the 43% is going to be no written goals. So let's make another text box. And we can type in no, should be all caps, no written. And if this happens to you, where you sort of run out of room in your text box, just use the arrow tool, the selection tool, to widen that or lengthen it. And then that way you'll be able to fit your last line of text in there. I'm going to move that over there. Again, that's going to be Arial 14. Now I'm just going to copy that. So I'm going to go to Edit and Copy and Edit and Paste. And my next one is going to be written goals. So I'm going to just delete out the beginning part of that and put written goals. And then the third text box is going to say shared goals with friends. So go ahead and type that, shared, hit return goals, hit return with friends. Bring this down here. That just fit a little bit better. And place that underneath that last bar in the graph. Now we need to do just two more things here. The first one is we're going to put a line through. So this is no written goals. So we want to indicate no on this with a red line through it, backslash line. So to create that, we're going to use our line tool, which is over here. We're going to set that to red. And we're going to make this point size 3 points. So that is over where it says stroke. And you can make an object thicker. We'll look at that again in a second when we do our border. So the higher the number you use, the thicker your stroke or border or line is going to be. So in this case, we're just going to come over here and just click and drag. And we're going to create that little red line that goes through our written page there, again, for no written goals. Now the very last thing that you want to do is put a border around the whole page or the whole infographic. So we're going to go to our rectangle tool and we're going to click and drag. Now if you happen to have something like this that happens where a color suddenly covers everything, don't panic. You just want to go over here to your fill and we're going to choose the none option. And that's just going to leave us with the color of our border. So for that, let's go back in and make that the same color we used for the rest of our, or for the elements in our graph. And then finally we're going to set this to, let's set it to 5 points. Okay, and so there's your completed infographic that you're going to save and then upload to the discussion board before the due date. But just one final thing to note, and this isn't something that you have to do for this, but you can use this in the next project, which is where, or exercise, which is where you're going to be creating your own infographic. Under uniform, there's a number of different options in as far as how your line can look. So if we choose this first option, you'll notice we sort of get this thicker all the way around except in the corner here, which is thin, and that gives it kind of a neat look. You can also switch it to that sort of squiggly line option, which gives us a thick, thin frame. You could also do a sort of just thick, again, sort of mostly thick and then getting thinner towards the end there. So depending on which one you choose, it's going to give it a different, slightly different look. And that's just a way of adding a little bit of visual interest to